Hello everybody, welcome back. It's been kind of a work day on the Fiero and getting some other stuff done. Oil change in the Mazda that you saw earlier that I repaired, and it turned out really nice. There's the Mazda back in action. I don't know if I ever did a follow-up video. We're going to take care of the headlights on this car today, the other one that we didn't do before, but this time we're going to do it the less dumber way. And the way we're going to do that is with the Mother's New Lens kit. And what it comes with is 800 grit. Remember in the video we started with, I don't know, might have been 400. There was 800, then we went to 1,000, then 2,000. But anyway, this kit takes you from 1,800 to 1,500. And these are both wet sanding discs that you use with water. Then it takes you to a 3,000 grit. And this doesn't even feel like sandpaper. It feels like rough fabric. Or I should say not smooth fabric. And then you have the polishing ball, and it comes with this that you put into the chuck of a drill. And what it wants you to do is, this is Velcro, so you center that, slap it on there, and then we'll start it with wet sanding 800. I'll show you the lens here, and then we'll go to 1,500 after that, then to the 3,000, and then onto the buffing ball. And the buffing ball is there for general maintenance. You shouldn't have to do this full process every time if you keep the light lens buffed at any regular interval. You can tell this side's not as bad as the other one was to begin with, but it still has some marks on it, some cloudiness, a little haziness. I'll show you the side over here. Got some bad marks on the bottom there, but that's nothing we can't take care of. And you can still see the lenses on this one, which was kind of not the case for the other one. But I'm just going to go through the process that it talks about in the book, and I'll show you that. I've surrounded the headlight with this blue tape, and the reason for that is we're going to use abrasive disc on this with a drill, and I don't want to scratch the paint. So the nice thing about this tape is it comes off very easily and won't leave any residue behind. First thing we're going to do now is get this wet, and the water will make it look better even when it's not, because it fills in the little gaps on the lens. So I have the 800 grit disc, and the way you use this is you use it wet at low speed, and you put it just flat to the surface of the lens, and you kind of go in overlapping patterns. So I'll do it like this and this and this until I get to the bottom and everything looks good. But I'm going to keep it wet here, and I'll do a lot of this off camera because it's easier when I don't have a camera in my way. But you know what I'm going to do now. 800, here we go. Alright, just finished it with the 800 grit, and it left swirls, and I'm not sure if I like that or if I like to do it better by hand. But it really wasn't much different on speed, to be honest, from the other way I showed you. So I'm going to jump to 1,500 and see if some of these swirls that are in there don't disappear with a finer grit. So far, just not really that impressed, but this is only step one, so we'll see how it turns out. I've resprayed it, have the 1,500 grit disc on. I'm going to go kind of slow and try to get that thing to touch right on the face of the disc. I'm going to go over the whole headlight and run water on this as I do it, just to make sure that it stays lubricated as this starts to cut. I'm kind of finding out that I think actually hand sanding is better than using these discs, because they wander around and kind of leave some swirl marks that you wouldn't have to worry about if you're hand sanding it. And honestly, it's not that much slower. You probably can't see the swirl marks in the video, maybe you can, but that's from the spinning disc, and I don't like that. So I'm going to get out my 1,000 grit from the previous video and just take care of all the 1500 grit marking that it put in there. 1500 is a finer grit, so 1000 is rougher. It should take that right out. And I will say, if you have a lot of pitting and all that to get rid of, maybe it's faster to use a rotating disc, but I don't think so. I will go with 1000 grit and then 2000, and then I'll come back to the wheel with 3000 dry and see if we can't make it pretty. 3 minutes later, by hand sanding with 1000 grit, just kind of with the palm of my hand for even pressure and keeping it wet. Just by doing this, took away all the swirl marks, and I think it looks a lot better than the 1500, which is a finer grit did. So I'm going to go straight to 2000 like I did before, and then I'll try that 3000 dry pad after that. Next step is the 3000 pad, and this is the one that you do dry, so I'm letting all the moisture evaporate off this lens before I start. And it looks hazy because it's not been polished or anything like that, and the surface has been roughed up. Well, I did the 3000 with that buffing pad that you're supposed to use dry, and it turned out terrible. So I went back over it with wet sanding at 2000 grit once again, and looks pretty good. It's wet, so it's ready for the polishing phase now. The surface is smooth, and you can see it kind of drying over here, but I'm going to dry it off, and hopefully the only thing in this kit I haven't used that I don't know anything about yet is the buffing ball, and hopefully it's good because I haven't actually liked anything else. So I'll dry it off and try the buff ball next. I'm going to put this stuff on here, pop that lid up. I'll put some on the mirror, dab it on the mirror, the headlight lens. I figure this is the easiest way to apply it to the buff ball. So hopefully this will be good. And I gotta replug in my cord, sorry. In the instructions they say start slow and go faster so it doesn't slosh everywhere. Keep a good amount on there. The pad is not saturated yet, so I'll make sure we have enough on it. Using kind of a high pressure on it. Seems to be working okay. I'm going to get my camera out of the way and see if I can't get it to look a little better. I like the buff ball, but I don't like the polish that they sent. It still looks kind of not good in a lot of places, and I don't know if I'm just not doing it right or if it's not that good, but I'm not really impressed. So I'm going to go back to my McGuire's plastics to try to coat this stuff and see if it doesn't work a little better. And once again, I'm really liking the plastics. That stuff works good. A note on this ball, there is a central part in there that you don't want touching your paint. So when you buff this, I hold it at an angle to the paint, not straight on, not straight sideways, but kind of a 45. You want to sort of use this part of the brush when you're using this buffing ball. Using the plastics and the buffer ball worked okay. I did go back over it by hand to make it a lot better. I don't know if it's worth anything in the kit other than the buffer ball, but it's just me. That's my opinion. I would not have spent the $40-some on it if I had to do it again. I just do it by hand because I ended up doing it by hand anyway. I'll finish it up with the plastic water repellent from Rain-X and call it a day. This is what the final product looks like, and it turned out really nice. Looks like a brand new lens, and I've decided to do a little something different. I put the Rain-X plastic water repellent on this headlight, and on the other headlight I'm going to do something else. On this side I'm going to use this Eagle 1, just spray it on, and it's not meant specifically for headlights, but it's for clear coats and everything else. So it'll be interesting to see which one lasts the longest. I already know one thing, that the side that I put the Eagle 1 on, it's a carnauba wax, and it filled in all the little microscopic scratches, and this thing is just about factory now. That is beautiful. And the other side here is good, but I don't think it's quite as good, so I think I might do it on this side and not worry about the test. So in fact, I know that's what I'm going to do because it finished off so much nicer on the other side. But we basically have two perfect headlights now. So that's all for today. Next time we'll paint some wheels, and just the top coats come off, and it's really simple. Basically sand it, smooth, prime it, tape it off, sand the primer once more, clean it off, and then paint it. But that'll be in the next video.